Hello YouTube, my name is Ryan and today we're going to be talking about student leadership and before we go any further with this video, please I apologize for the poor quality. I have I'm using a webcam right now to make this quick little vlog and to give you guys some really good information, so I apologize for the bad quality, but I hope that you will still find the information that I have in this video to be useful. So yeah, student leadership. How do you know if you're qualified? But I'm not even going to talk about that. That's a horrible title, so that won't be the title of this video. I've just made that decision. What does it mean to be a student leader? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Before you go, man, I want to be a student leader, you should know what it means. What are the expectations of a student leader? What does a student leader do outside of what you see as someone who isn't one? All right, those are the things you need to be thinking about. I'm going to talk to you guys mostly as someone not who hasn't been a student leader. All right, I'm going to talk to you mostly as somebody who went through the process. All right, mostly as someone who has been through 4 years of band, and most specifically marching band, and throughout those 4 years has experienced very good leaders and very poor leaders. And I will be able to give you, because of that experience, I'm able to kind of judge leadership on a different way because I've been able to experience it and take the things I liked and I hated about people that I had to work with along the way to paint a more perfect picture of leadership. Now, more perfect does not mean perfect. I mean a better way of viewing leadership as, not just as an individual, but as a concept, as how should someone be in a leadership role. Before I get myself in a huge headache about technicalities and all that, let's just talk about some of the things that you should know, and or at least be thinking of before you go and apply for a student leadership position. Fact right out the gate, if you think that you're spending a lot of time in band as someone who isn't a student leadership, as a student who isn't in student leadership, go ahead and double that when you start talking about wanting to be in student leadership. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Double that time. And I don't care. Like, it's not just drum major. It is drumline captain. It is brass captain, woodwind captain, equipment managers, librarians. I don't know if you guys have librarians, but throughout different schools, that for us, those are the people who manage music, who make copies and distribute them out to the band. I don't know if other schools might have them, other schools might not, but we do, and I know those guys that are librarians work their butts off all the time to do that, and they devote a lot of time to the program, so there you go. So if I ever use the term council, it's what we call all the student leaders at my school. They are the council of student leaders. So if I just use that term council, I'm addressing student leaders as a whole. So that's what that means. So I'm going to say it, just naturally because it's been in my vocabulary for 4 years now. So when I say that, just go ahead and keep that in mind. So the Student Leadership Council at my school, what are some of their expectations? Well, yeah, they have to give double the amount of time that the other guys do. I mean, for someone who is a senior, all right, who already comes to rehearsal and spends, a crazy amount of time doing band, they're spending an even crazier amount of time doing band, making sure that they're doing their jobs. And like I said earlier, it does not matter. It's not just the drum majors. It's not just the, captains. It's everyone in between. Even the communications guys work their butts off behind the scenes. And that is what a lot of people who want to aspire to be in student leadership don't realize. When you're, a normal person in the band who isn't in the council, you only see like the tip of the iceberg. The council has to literally not quite plan rehearsal, but they have to plan and make sure that certain functions are being executed well. I know that every year the council, over the summer before band camp starts, they come into school and they rearrange the band room, they clean it up. Sometimes they move things and throw stuff out, and they try to make the band better, or the band room better. And they try to clean the band suite and get things all organized for the new season. That's one of their responsibilities. That's something that they're just expected to do. Alone probably takes, at least 2 or 3 days worth of work. Our equipment managers at our school had to go through instruments and take pictures of school instruments and write about the condition that they're in and make sure that they're in clandestine, that might not be the right word, pristine condition going into the new season. Now, why is that important? Well, obviously, because you want to know that if someone rents that instrument and it's in a condition that's different from what it was, rented in, it would be important to know and it would save the band money. For that year, we had instruments going missing. We had things getting lost. We had things getting stolen. We had things getting broken. Having someone like an equipment manager, even though that position doesn't sound important when you say it, it was ridiculously important because it, honest to God, saves the band thousands of dollars that not all programs may have. The job that equipment manager did, and this really happened, she spent, I think, 3 or 4 days, like we talked about earlier with the council doing their cleanup. That alone took her 3 or 4 days to do. So she was spending a ridiculous amount of time outside of band. And if you're someone who's looking at student leadership and is considering student leadership and doesn't consider the fact that you're going to be spending more time and you just have to make that decision, am I willing to devote more time to this? Because it will be rewarding, but it's one of those things that's going to be long term. And if the answer is no, that's totally fine. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're stupid or anything like that. It means that this isn't right for you, so you're taking a step back. All right, that is a very simple way to go clean down and be fair about that with yourself. If you're willing to devote the extra time, you also have to understand that as being a part of the council or a student leader, that you are the symbol of the program. You're a role model at all times. You have to hold yourself to a higher standard than everybody else. What do I mean by that? If there are certain behavioral and discipline rules that you have in the band, like I'm pulling one straight out of nowhere, right? Say that you're not allowed to have phones out during rehearsal. Okay, I don't know how you could have your phone out on the field, but just say that you're not allowed to have phones out on the field, and you're a student leader. All right, I'm brass captain. I turn around to one of my idiot freshman trumpets, and he's got his phone out, and I, say, hey, put your phone away, and he puts his phone away, and then later I'm on mine, I'm held to a higher standard, but that was a poor example. It's more basic than that, all right? It's more basic than rehearsal etiquette. It's outside, You're expected to never show PDA. You have to be able to give up saying stuff and being, playful. If you like to mess around and screw around with your buddies, at a competition, you can't do that as a student leader because you are supposed to tell people not to. If you tend to curse a lot as a student leader, they're going to expect you not to curse at all. All right, so that's something that you have to put into consideration. It's something that you have to think about when doing this. Can you succumb to those? Can you rise to those higher expectations? Can you eliminate curse words from your vocabulary? Can you behave yourself, like be practically perfect because you're representing your program at all times? And the last question you have to ask yourself, and this is another thing that the guy who's going to pick you wants to know if you're going to be an advocate of the program. Do you advocate for the band program? Ask yourself that. And how do you advocate? How do you know if you're an advocate and are you advocating? Say that, this is a very basic example. Say that one of the, you're just chilling in chemistry and one of your non-band friends asks you about band and you say, I really don't like it. It's not fun. I'm not enjoying myself. It's not great. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. We're really bad. But probably not a very good advocate for the program if those are the kinds of things that you're saying about the program that you represent. Advocate for the band program would always try to stand behind the band's back. All right, now that's, given certain things, like maybe not always, but an advocate for the band would always want to talk it up, would always want to be proud of the fact that they're a part of the marching band. If you are blushing when you put your uniform on, when somebody who you see in the crowd looks at you and kind of goes, like that, and you're not proud of the uniform you're wearing, then you're probably not a good advocate for the program. So keep that in mind. Are you willing to be an advocate for the program at all times? And if you've looked through all three of those things that I've said tonight, or like about the time commitment and that the ability to hold yourself to a higher standard and knowing that you will be held to one, and also knowing that you have to be an advocate for the program, and you've looked through all that and said that, you know what, yeah, I can take this on, then do it, man. Student leadership's right for you. If not, if you've looked at any one of these things, you might have to really think back. If you're not willing to do the extra time commitment, if you're not willing or are too afraid to have to be held to a higher standard, if you are not willing to be an advocate, then student leadership probably isn't the right thing for you. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to understand that I don't want you getting disappointed, or worse, I would hate for someone who wasn't qualified or didn't consider all these things to run for a position, get chosen for one, and then have to learn all this at once and then have to back down. That would be a really sad thing to have to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informational. Again, this is all my opinion. If I didn't make that clear enough already, all my opinion. This is all stuff that I've seen, all things I've experienced and learned through my own personal training, my own personal successes and failures, and also the successes and failures of people who've led me and helped guide me along my humble journey through the marching band world. To wrap this video up, I'd like to say that there will be plenty more videos on student leadership and marching band to come. I'm just sort of getting this thing going. I hope you guys will stick with me as more stuff comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful night.